There are four things that make a great fight: the build-up, the motion, the phases, and the conclusion. There are extra things such as clever use of environment or the power system, but the first four are the most important. While a fight doesn't necessarily need all four, the greatest ones in anime usually have most of them. The build-up comes before the actual battle. This is usually done by foreshadowing or setting up a battle between two characters. If there is going to be an ideological battle, the two sides and their ideologies can be established at this stage. This is crucial because it creates anticipation and excitement for the battle. It makes us want to see the battle. Build-up often leads into emotion. It can give the characters a motive for fighting, and if this motive is something like vengeance, it definitely creates an emotional attachment to the fight. Emotion is necessary because it makes the audience care about the fight. If we're watching two strangers fight, we have little to no investment in the results of the battle. If I watch a random video of two characters fighting, the impact will definitely be inferior to the amount of impact the fight would have if I knew the characters and the story behind the fight. Rival battles tend to nail the build-up and emotion very well. As rivals, they are usually at odds with each other for varying reasons. Their status as a rival automatically creates some kind of anticipation for a battle between the two, because they usually want to surpass each other. In the case of characters like Sasuke or Bakugo, their motives behind fighting lie in some kind of jealousy of the other's power. This gives us something to latch onto emotionally. The more personal the reasons for fighting are, the better. The most important factor would be having phases in the fight. I define a phase as a change in the pattern of the fight from one or both fighters. Phases also tend to switch the tides of battle. For example, in Magi, when Alibaba is fighting Todo, he starts by using his royal swordplay, but when that isn't effective, he switches to using a fighting style closer to that of Sharken's. Phase 1 would be where Alibaba is on the losing side with his royal swordplay, and phase 2 would be when he takes the upper hand with Sharken's swordplay. Phases are important because they change the state of the battle and keep it refreshing and interesting. If two characters are using the same exact attacks for the entire battle, it'll get boring really quickly and it will be uncreative. The same can be said if one character is dominant throughout the entire fight. But if the characters switch tactics and the tides swing, the fight becomes more engaging. It also shows that the characters are strategizing and adapting. Another great example would be Misaka's fight against Mugino in Railgun. The fight started with Railgun running away as Meltdowner fired lasers at her from a distance. But the phase shifts when Mikasa approaches her opponent face to face with explosive dolls. Another battle between level 5s does the same thing in Index. In Accelerator's fight against Kakine, the latter starts off on the winning side with his unknown abilities, but the battle becomes even when the phase shifts into Accelerator going all out and getting a grasp on his opponent's ability. More phases doesn't necessarily equal a better fight, but generally, the longer a fight is, the more phases it should have, like Yusuke vs Toguro for example. The final factor for a good fight is a conclusion. A fight that doesn't conclude is like a story that just cuts off. A conclusion provides the battle with catharsis. Conclusions that are a final phase shift are the most interesting for me. For example, in Jin and Karya's final fight, the two are on equal footing, but at the end, Karya stabs Jin, but the latter reveals that he opened himself up to get a clear blow on his opponent. The two were on equal footing up until the final attacks, which put one on top, creating a phase shift. It's like a last-minute plot twist. Conclusions that come through clever use of surroundings, power system, or strategy also stand above regular ones. It makes the victory feel well-earned and shows the writer's skill and creativity. A good example would be Josuke vs Akira, when Josuke uses his fixing ability to trap his electric opponent in a previously busted tire. Chili peppers breaking the tire causes it to expel air and blow the stand and the tire into the sea, spreading his stand and its electricity. Lastly, conclusions that end in draws are the least satisfying. Having no winner is kind of disappointing, but it can be well done. There are other things that could boost the quality of a fight, but aren't necessary. The first one is an ideological battle. When two characters have ideologies that clash, it adds another layer to the physical fight and makes the fight more meaningful. It's important that one side actually wins the ideological battle. As I said before, strategy can enhance the quality of a fight as it shows off the creativity and intelligence of the writer and the characters. In conclusion, build-up, emotion, phases, and a conclusion are the four most important factors for writing a good fight. It would be very difficult to find a well-written fight that doesn't have at least 3 of these factors, if not all 4.